It's the very first YouTube video, and nobody's going to watch it unless, unless. Okay, thing is, I am developing a terminal emulator, and during the period of like from 0 lines of code up until almost 80,000 lines of code, I would like to share my knowledge that I gained throughout the journey of implementing a terminal emulator. And the really great part is that my main goal of implementing it wasn't just to implement something that, would take over the world, like not at all, and not even close to, but something that is useful to others, but especially, specifically also to me, and something that is fun to hack on. I didn't even think about, to implement the fastest terminal emulator in the world. Wait a sec, there's one already, right? Or is it? Isn't it? But like, who's the fastest terminal emulator in the world anyways? That's an interesting topic. I would really like to talk about terminal performance specifically, because I'm having personal interest in performance optimizations myself, and I actually did some, not completely, but I did start doing some terminal performance optimizations already. But what does performance mean anyways, right? Like, I mean, nowadays, all of you say like, oh, not all of you, sorry, but oh, there's a terminal emulator XYZ and it's fast because it's GPU hardware accelerated. Eh? What? Okay, it's using OpenGL, congratulations, and it's hardware accelerated, but does this mean it's fast? You can make it fast, yeah. Rendering is fast now, congratulations. But your terminal application, will this one behave fast? You can have GPU accelerated terminal and yet be like super slow, and there are actually proofs for that. I don't want to disrespect here any terminal emulator or so, but they do exist. And quite on the other side, you can have kind of a shitty rendering, like being super dumb and slow, have a very thin translation layer to the actual backend where the actual terminal emulation stuff is happening, and have this one blazingly fast. So, or you have just both slow, right? Slow as fuck. And I mean, I was watching so many YouTube videos saying like, oh, this terminal emulator is so fast and you really must use it. And yeah, no, like all these arguments kind of made me want to talk about performance. And I will do this. I really want to do this, but at some point you have to start with your video. So let me create a video which nobody's going to watch, but not even me, maybe I will. And just to get started, so let's get started with a YouTube channel about terminals, especially about terminals, but also about Linux and C++ development, because I'm mainly coding in C++, at least as of the time being. And I can already smell the people asking me like, what about Rust? And yeah, I get these questions like a lot in my Twitch channel, because I'm already streaming on Twitch live. But since this one lately at least kind of rarely happens, not because I don't like to, I really enjoy doing Twitch live streams, I try to open up a new channel where I can still produce content, just not live, but share some parts of my journey, throughout life with respect to terminal emulators and all the stuff around. So I'm using the terminal and Linux and C++ actually since about 30 years already. So I started as a kid, or even more than 30 years already. It's 31, maybe 31, yeah. There are a few things which I would like to highlight that are of interest for me that are worth mentioning. Let's just start from top to bottom, right? What does it even mean? What is a terminal? Like at one point in a stream, somebody came around and asked, and was saying to some other friend, okay, now look here, let's ask him now, what is a terminal emulator, and please define it. And I can do that. I did this in the live stream. I would like to, have it recorded so that next time I probably can, throw people at the link. What is a terminal, right? Like, I mean, we have terminals, virtual terminal emulators. We have teletypes, maybe not anymore in your household, and so also not in mine, but yeah. And the other question is like, people take it for granted. There's some shitty black window with some text in it, and they type stuff in there and say like, that's the terminal. And yeah, they're right. But what they mean is the shell. So when they open up the shell, they mean this is the terminal. And I would like to clear out these kind of misunderstandings. And the really most interesting thing for me is that actually the most interesting thing that I actually like to point out is you take the character for granted, like there's a character on your screen because you type something like A, or B or CD, like just to CD to your home directory or so. And you expect it to be there instantly. And you also, you just assume it works. What does it mean? Like what complexity is behind getting a character from typing from a keyboard down through all the pipelines in between up to your screen? Like what are the steps and where are the performance optimization steps that you can take as a termination developer to make it look fast? Like, I mean, the one thing I already mentioned is people assume that just because you're using OpenGL for your terminal, it means it's fast. Yeah, that might make rendering fast or might not, The next one is, so what else can make it fast? Well, the way how you rasterize your font, right? Like how do you rasterize your characters? This can be as simple as just asking FreeType, for example, which is a library to transform code points to glyph bitmaps and glyph information and be done with it. And then, of course, you put some cache layer in between and, and call it a day. You can actually do more. What about programming ligatures, which some really, I wouldn't necessarily say overhyped, but like super hyped terminals, they kind of lean against implementing programming ligatures due to the implied performance impact. And yes, there's a performance penalty for that, but you can cache it. You can cache against it and then make it fast again, almost as fast as in not supporting it. Okay, the next thing actually is, how is your text actually stored inside of the terminal? Like, how much does it know? I mean, in the end, you type in your password, right? So maybe we also want to go into how's your display, your grid, your scrollback history. How's this one actually being stored in the terminal later? How can we make it fast? Because there's a lot of information for every grid cell, for every character that you want to display there. Tons of attributes. So take the number of columns you have in your screen times the number of lines you're having in your screen plus the number of lines you're having for your scrollback buffer. And at least I like to, use a scrollback buffer of 10K, like 10,000 lines of scrollback, plus the main page area, which makes it like a lot of grid cells, and they all have to have the same attributes, at least the possibility. What can we do to make it fast? Because you're certainly not fitting in the cache, right? People used to say Kitty is fast, right? Then came Alacrity, and people used to say Alacrity is fast, and then RevTerm came, and RevTerm said, you're all slow, what are we going to do? You're all slow. Okay, because RevTerm is actually by orders of magnitude faster than all the other terminates in the world. At least I don't know anyone who's coming actually even close to it. How's he doing that? Or how's he not doing what the other people are doing? And I'm actually quite happy that in RevTerm, the README is now finally saying it's not meant to be a reference terminal. RevTerm is not a reference terminal. Okay, funny. So this guy actually wants to prove a point, which one point he did prove, which comes down to the rendering speed, like how many frames per second can you render. On the usefulness, we can still debate, like, do you really want to render 7,000 frames per second for hours? Of course not, right? And I think he also knows that nobody wants to do that, not even closely. Actually, you want to render as less frames as possible, only when you really have to, because you want to stay power efficient, right? You still want to use OpenGL to, have a convenient API to draw as efficient as possible, but only draw if you really have to. No need to go, on some killing spree with 7K frames a sec. But RevTerm actually did a little bit more than just 7K frames. And why 7K frames? I would say like he proved a point, on the tiling renderer, which it in the end is, The problem with RevTerm is more on the storage side. So even though it's actually, it has chosen a really interesting approach of how to store the terminal buffer, it's not working. But why is it not working? That's actually, I should probably prepare for actually, with some graphs, why this one is not working and why this one cannot work. And I spend a lot of time in actually investigating into this because I am optimizing my own terminal emulator. And I wanted to see if I can actually learn from RevTerm, and so everybody should. He had some really good points, but this 2 gigabyte per second throughput for your cut style benchmark, nobody will hold it. It's just nonsense. It's bullshit. It's not working. But why is it not working? Why is this one bullshit? Because that's another video. Well, at least now I know one thing I can talk about right after this, because this video is just about, to get started. Yeah, so I mean, in the end, I'm kind of a terminal guy, and I would like to give you some insight into the head of a terminal emulation developer, like how to approach things, how to evaluate performance, how to evaluate the usability and the featurefulness of a terminal emulator, and if something's overhyped or not. Like, because there are clearly some things which are overhyped, some are like probably underhyped, and also in the end I really want you to understand the terminal better, because I at first thought, like, before even having started to code the first line of my terminal emulator, I thought I did understand the terminal, and hence it's easy to implement, right? Because what else do you expect? I want you to be able to better understand the terminal and not go through the same pitfalls as I did. And hopefully you will take something out of it. Yeah, that would be nice. So let's call it a day. Let's call it the first video, and let's go into the cut. Like cutting all the stuff out, which, where I've been coughing and saying M and such. And yeah, let's see. I'm kind of excited. Like, I know other people say like, oh, I'm so excited, and now I'm doing it myself. I am. But the thing is, yes, I am excited. I'm kind of afraid, and I fear the video is going to be shit, and most likely it's going to be one of those videos I will never watch again. Like, maybe once, and then only for historic reasons. You have to get started, right? You have to get started. And yeah. So I hope you will enjoy the future content, which is about to come about terminals, terminal emulators, or the ecosystem around. Probably also, most likely, not just probably also, or the tools which are running inside. Not to mention not cursors here. And yeah, let's see. Have a nice one.